What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/am I the Butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, as usual. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it really helps out our channel. And just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. It really does mean the world to me, and you know that. And if you want to support the channel further, you absolutely can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or clicking the link in the description for Patreon and joining up there. But absolutely never any pressure to do so. Please look after yourselves first, as that is priority. And with that being said, let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Cake Girl 97. Am I the arsehole for overreacting over cake? No. I, 23 female, am living with my boyfriend, 27 male. I've definitely gained the COVID-15. So for 2021, I decided to go on a little healthy journey to lose those couple of extra pounds. My birthday came around the corner and one of my friends made me this lovely lunchbox cake. If you don't know what Korean lunchbox cakes are, search it up. It's adorable. It's a tiny Earl Grey cake, about 4 inches in diameter, with little heart-shaped strawberries and frosting frogs holding signs that said, "Happy birthday." It made my little heart happy. I took it home and decided to eat it the next day, as I was having digestive issues at the moment, and I wanted to enjoy it on date night with my boyfriend. It was the perfect little add-on for a cheat day too. My boyfriend came home, saw the cake in the fridge and asked if he could have a slice. I said no, that I wanted to eat it the next day and he could have some the next day too. He made little comments here and there, sulked, and after I continuously said no, went into his room to play video games for the rest of the night. When I went downstairs in the morning, the cake was gone, and there was dirty dishes in the sink with the little signs of happy birthday crumpled up and soggy on top. The whole cake was eaten. Obviously, I knew my boyfriend was the culprit. I confronted my boyfriend and it didn't go well, for the lack of a better word. It basically boiled down to, if you would have just let me have a slice, I wouldn't have eaten the whole thing without you. He said that this was his way of getting back at me for being so selfish and stingy. I tried rebuting and arguing that it was my birthday cake and I wanted to eat my own birthday cake. He still didn't understand why the cake was so important, because my birthday was celebrated a week ago. He even joked that he was helping me out since I was on a diet anyway. I was getting upset, and of course, being the crybaby I am, I shed a few tears. He didn't really like that, so he started chastising me a bit more, calling me immature. So instead of staying home for our date night, I decided to stay at my friend's place. I told him I was upset at him at that moment and that he was making me more upset with the conversation, so I was leaving for the night so we could both cool down. He's now saying that I'm a bitch for leaving and overreacting over cake. My friend said that I'm not overreacting at all, that I was in the right for being upset because it was my birthday cake. I'm really conflicted. I'm definitely upset about the situation, but after all, it was just cake. Maybe I shouldn't have started a fight and just let it go. Maybe I should have stayed and talked out for conflict resolution's sake. Am I the arsehole for leaving and overreacting over cake? And I stand by my initial judgment straight after the title. No, you're definitely not the arsehole in this situation. If someone stole my cake, they wouldn't have hands. You guys know me. Fries, fried chicken, and cake. I'm all over that. And waffles, of course. Imagine putting yourself in someone's shoes and thinking that it's okay to eat someone else's birthday cake, and not even a slice, even though he's been told no already. Not even just a slice, the whole thing, to get back at his girlfriend. What kind of asshole mentality is that? Dude is nearing on 30 and is sulking about not getting cake and going to his room to play video games. He sounds like a child. Why are you with him? That is the question I need to ask. But let's try some comments and see what they say. Dying Stars 28 says, "Not the arsehole. Your boyfriend is an arse. Why would you eat all of someone else's birthday cake? Why would you eat any of it before they've even taken a bite? Your friend is right." And Arbor replies to this saying, "Absolutely right. He didn't just eat it, he blamed her for making him eat it, and said if she would have just shared, he wouldn't have eaten the whole thing, called her a bitch and made stupid jokes. Plus he crumpled up the happy birthday signs her friend made her and left dirty dishes in the sink for her to find. OP, the things I would like to say about your boyfriend would likely get me banned, so I'll simply say that it was your cake, it was a present, a lovely little surprise arranged for you, and he destroyed it because he is a spoiled, selfish person who can't bear to be told no. Don't let him ruin your life, OP. You have so much to offer. Don't let someone like this suck all the joy out of your existence." And Purple Weasel says, you're not upset about a cake, you're upset that you're dating a douche. Not the arsehole and dump him immediately. Edited to add, I just saw the ages. I assumed y'all were teenagers. This man is nearly 30. He's old enough to know better and act better. Dump him, run in the opposite direction and never look back. He sucks, and he's apparently not going to grow out of sucking. And Empress Bunny says, not the arsehole, your boyfriend finds it reasonable to eat your whole cake in retaliation of you asking him to wait a day? He's insanely hateful with that and blames you. You deserve better than that. Your friend is right. Keep the friend, dump the boyfriend. Now, I turn this one to you guys. I expect strong reactions on this one. Cake is involved here. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Tiger Leading. Am I the arsehole for telling my close friend she shouldn't have another baby? My 25 female friend Pam, 24 female, has a son, 2 male, who I love dearly. Pam and I have known each other since we were 15, and we had similar dreams. We are both in a group of friends that are tightly knit. Pam is on again and off again with her baby's dad, and they had an explosive argument, so she stayed at my place for the week. I was surprised during the stay because she didn't really watch her son. He was bumping his head on the walls, playing with the toilet and playing on the stairs. I watched him, but when I had to go to class, I handed him to Pam, and most of the time she'd let him loose again so he could be on her phone or whatever. She mentioned she wanted to have another baby with her boyfriend, and she made it seem that because she had nothing else to do, she would give her son a sibling. She asked my opinion, and when I asked her if she wanted my honest opinion, she said yes. I told her she shouldn't because she still lives with her 85-year-old grandmother, she isn't financially stable, and her relationship with her boyfriend is rocky. I told her bringing another life into this world is a huge responsibility, and she mentioned a time last year when I tried getting her to go back to school, when I tried giving her my study guides for anatomy and physiology during my undergrad days. I was confused why she brought that up, and she said that I act like I'm better than everyone. I only tried to encourage her to go back to school because she admitted she was jealous that everyone else in our group of friends were achieving their goals. I assured her I was not trying to put her down, and she said I told my other friend that I wanted to have a baby with my fiance once I finished my master's degree and passed my boards. I was like, okay. I never applied any of that to her, but it's true. I wanted to have mental and financial stability before having kids. She started to cry and insisted on leaving. I tried to get her to stay and leave in the morning when the roads are clear, but she pushed me away and left. She's telling our friends that I'm a snobby bitch. I called her and texted her that I'm sorry if my opinion hurt her, and my opinion was something she didn't have to consider because she's an adult and she just said that I'm a cold-hearted bitch. Am I the arsehole here? I have tried to have a talk to her about the possibility that she is experiencing depression, but she tells me to mind my own business. This simply comes down to, if you don't want an opinion, don't ask for it. They asked for an opinion, they got an honest one, and they didn't like it. And there's clearly some jealousy stuff going on here with Pam, seeing her friends all moving on with life and, like they said, achieving their goals and moving on to better things. And you're clearly a very, very good friend in this situation for giving your honest opinions and still trying to help her, even though when she's cursing you out and doing all this kind of thing. And, you know, your empathy and compassion obviously goes a long way, and you can see it in this post for the way you're trying to be and even questioning yourself afterwards. And Pam may be facing depression, we don't know that, just going from what this post is and what was said at the end there. Possibly, maybe not, or she may just have a lot of growing to do in this situation. And you may be just moving in separate directions in life, and that might be just it. But I think well done for you for being a friend, and if you do continue to be a friend, fair play to you for one, because she actually may need that company at some point in the future. Does she deserve it is another question in itself, but well done for doing you. And Mrs. Chuck Liddell says, not the arsehole, don't ask questions you don't want answers to. She doesn't seem inclined to change, so I doubt this behaviour has an end date in sight. It wouldn't be a bad idea to reevaluate how much you're willing to put up with that friendship. And Cake is a Die says, not the arsehole, Pam has inferiority complex. Your lives are on different paths. She can either deal with it or you can slowly separate from each other. And Smokersaurus says, not the arsehole, but Pam is acting like a real child. She absolutely shouldn't have another child yet. And Mighty Fine Shindig says, not the arsehole, she said she wanted your honest opinion and that's what you gave her. It sounds like while you were honest, you weren't overly harsh in your delivery. She should not be cursing you out about or bad-mouthing you to your friends because you told her the truth when she asked you to. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Uncle Dude 93. Am I the arsehole for not talking to my fiance because she keeps reminding me that my family hates her? To put it short and simple, my parents and my fiance have never gotten along. They've been respectful, but their personalities never clicked. This past June, before my parents asked that my fiance no longer come over to visit their house where I was living at the time because they didn't feel comfortable with her visiting. From then on, we just spent time at her grandfather's house, her residence at the time. Until we bought our house this past November, I tried to keep things cordial since we began dating, but my parents, particularly my father, have taken its my way or the highway attitude. My fiance has credited me with defending her, but will still remind me sardonically of how my family hates her, even when I've asked for her not to bring it up around me, because there's nothing I can do about it, and all it succeeds in doing is reminding me in my failure to get everyone to get along. Tonight we were talking about wedding stuff and whiskey, talking about my elder sister, who can be a bit standoffish. She reminded me once, again jested, at how she hated her. This obviously sent me in a sour mood, and I went from being happy to sad, and then just emotionally numb. I told her we should just cancel the wedding because I didn't see the point in spending $5,000 on a bunch of people that would include half a crowd that would hate her. I love her and I love my family. Even though I may not give enough reason in this post. I don't think I'm alone in the struggle, but I feel like I should have said something more chipper and happy like I normally would. She claims that she says it as often as she has because it's a coping mechanism for her, but I still feel like it's an insult directed at me. She's upstairs now because she couldn't take my silent treatment, and I feel like I should apologise, but a part of me feels like I haven't done anything wrong. Am I the arsehole? Be honest, and a little advice will be welcome too. So we have Nicholas Bage, great name, saying, "You're the arsehole. It doesn't sound like you stood up for her at all, but worse, you were completely focused on your own feelings. It's hard for you to hear her say that stuff. Imagine how hard it must be for her to have to invite people to her wedding that have banned her from their house. To be reminded constantly that your family hates her. The least you can do is be a partner for her that she can talk to about this. She needs emotional support. She needs to know that you don't agree with your family and love her anyway. She needs to know that you're not going to choose them over her your whole life. At least be there for her instead of acting like you are the hurt party here. If you are too much of a coward to actually do something about this." And Journey Forth says, "Why did your parents ban your fiance from visiting at their house? The animosity between them definitely does not sound like they've been respectful but their personalities never clicked. There's got to be more to this story. Either she gave them a reason to ban them from their house, or she didn't give them a reason and they're treating her like garbage for no reason. In which case, I understand her hurt, and you're kind of being the arsehole for taking her comments personally and not trying to help her or defend her against your parents. I wouldn't let my family ban my partner from their house without knowing the reason why. It sounds like you're being complacent in this dispute, and if it is truly how you explained it, then you're right. Why would you want to spend so much money on a ceremony when your family hates your future wife? I wouldn't feel very good or happy if I were her in that situation either. You've basically shown her that she can't rely on you and you will not be an ally to her future interactions between her and your family." And then we had a twist in the tale, with fiance replying to this saying, named Dammit Dinkle, saying, "Hey there, I'm the fiance. Opie told me he posted and was reading the replies and asked me to give more details because he has a hard time articulation and I also type a lot faster. I make sure he reads before I post. There's been a lot of animosity for the simple fact that FDH, to make typing easier, is one of their youngest and they treat him like a child despite the fact that we are now 28 and 27. We were 22 when we met and started dating. I'm the oldest and my parents have always treated me like an adult and told me not to let others disrespectful of me. His parents tend to get angry that I don't agree and listen to all of their demands and that I enforce boundaries. I was kicked out because his dad walked into his room. He was at his desk, I was on the bed, and told us, "We're buying you a house, it's a done deal." I think I even posted before about this, I don't know. He told us they bought us a house 1.5 hours away in town A from where we live to the north. I work where we currently live and FDH works an hour to the south. This means he would be driving over 2 hours to work one way every day, on top of 10-hour shifts. Town A is less expensive with a better home, so they'd be pushing for us to move there, but I have family there and I know the area isn't that great, but time distance was the biggest factor. Also, there's been conflict about family-owned property in the past. FDH mentioned I lived in my grandfather's house. I was his caregiver until he died, and he left me and my bachelor uncle the house. Uncle treats me like a daughter, and the house when he passes will always be mine. FDH's father has told him time and time again he isn't allowed to live there because it's my family home. So I will point out that future father-in-law that, well, that's FDH's home, not mine. He got pissy and tried to tell me that it was too late. It was done and I would have to deal with it. And I said I wouldn't because it's not my house and not my problem. FDH, for his credit, had a moment of sheer what the fuck shock and started defending us at that point. FDH was really upset because the point was it was supposed to be our first home and they took away us picking our first home. They didn't like the areas we were looking in or the houses we were looking at because our budget was small because we weren't accepting their help. I gathered my stuff up while FDH and future father-in-law were arguing and left. His mum and dad told him I was disrespectful and I wasn't welcome until I apologised. However, I have done nothing but apologise for a bunch of made up problems for the 5 years and I won't anymore. This fight was at the beginning of last January, over a year ago, and I haven't seen anyone from his family since. My post history has some more of their insane shit from the past. Also to add, it turned out it wasn't a done deal and there was a lot more to it. But we're not involved with the house and bought our own. His parents have yet to see it or visit, gated community, because I won't allow them over until they've apologised to me for everything they've done. Now, with all that additional information, what do you guys think of this story? Is OP still the arsehole in this situation? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for not accepting my mum's lesbian relationship? For background, my mum was quite the bully and actually abusive when I was younger. One of the things she would constantly berate me about is being a lesbian, which I'm not. She's always had this strange fixation with me somehow being a lesbian when she drew this idea from most of the unreasonable conclusions. For one, I refused to play sports and never told her when I had a crush on someone. She would literally hold these two things against me until I was in high school, and even mentioned it in passing several months ago. I'm 21. She even drunkenly told a family friend that I was a lesbian or thought I was. It was just completely inappropriate. I've never given any indication that I was, and it's just rude either way. Currently, my mum is divorced. For some reason, she'd talk about being a lesbian just because she's sick of men, but said that she couldn't find herself attracted to a woman. This was seemingly out of nowhere and wasn't ever really brought up again, until recently. We had a conversation a couple of days ago where she told me that she was seeing a woman, just out of nowhere, and wants me to meet her. I was pretty upset and just felt all these things that she told me in our past boiling up. Not once has she ever even apologised for the things she told me, literally yelling and screaming at me when I was a kid, accusing me of being a lesbian. I didn't even know what a lesbian was, and now she expects me to just meet her girlfriend. I told her that I wanted no part of it. Maybe one day, but that I needed time to clear my head and think. I also brought up how she treated me as a child and how hypocritical of her this seemed. She just went on and on about how she's my mother and that I need to respect her, that she was just worried for me, etc. So, am I the arsehole? It's not like I ever planned to permanently cut her off, I'm just upset right now. And we're going to start off with J. Kyle saying, not the arsehole, almost sounds like your mum was projecting her own sexual frustrations onto you. Maybe she has felt this way for a long time, resented herself for it, and manifested that onto your identity. Either way, your mum is clearly struggling, but that doesn't excuse the way she treated you. And Jabba Bell says, not the arsehole, it sounds like your mum is abusive and projected her internalized homophobia onto you. It happens and I'm very sorry, you should cut her off. You have to accept your mum's lesbianism to the extent that you shouldn't be homophobic towards her in return, or let this make you prejudiced against LGBT people in general. Not all lesbians suck, just like not all parenting sucks, even though it seems like your mum does. But you don't have to accept her and her partner into your life just because they are LGBT. You also shouldn't shut them out because of it. You should just shut them out because, again, your mum is being emotionally and verbally abusive, in my opinion. And Caliban Drive says, not the arsehole, I think you should meet this new girlfriend and tell her everything you just told us and see what happens. And Everyone is Gay says, not the arsehole, obviously I don't agree with the homophobic people are just closeted queer people trope as a rule, but it seems like your mum really fits that bill. But she needs to apologise for what she put you through and make amends before expecting you to understand that from her. That would be true whoever you were, let alone that you were just a kid and she was behaving so abusively to you. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening to a story or two. It really does mean the world to me, and I just want you to know that. If you would like to, and it'd be very much appreciated, and you'd like to support the channel further, you absolutely can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or heading on over to Patreon, link in the description, and joining up there. It's a massive help to the channel, but also I'd just like to add, never ever feel any pressure or anything like that to do so. I sometimes have people messaging me, letting me know that they can't support anymore, and that's absolutely fine. Please never feel like you have to explain to me or anything like that. I totally understand. We're in troubling times right now. A lot of stuff going down, and the last thing I want you to do is put yourself out for me. You know, I'm just a stranger on the internet, and I want you to be looking after yourself, because that is what we are all about here. We are all about looking after your own mental health, your own self, and just taking care of yourself and making yourself happy. And that is all I want out of life. You guys make me happy just from hearing your happy comments and how, you know, how things change for you. I've heard a lot of positive things, and it just cheers me up hearing them. So thank you so much for being you, and I will see you in the next one. I went off a little bit there, didn't I? Let's have some spicy music to cheer things up. Go for it. I've been thinking that I can't let you go. Hey, can you hear